The latest CBO projections were that there would be more deaths than births in this country as soon as 2033. So we would have to be depending
Mm-hmm.
upon immigration, and that has an effect on the economy. So you got this, this situation where we're dumping more debt onto the future and doing less to invest in the economy that's going to have to produce the goods and services to pay for that debt. And
Yes.
you got to look at both sides of that.
And, not to be dystopian here, but also relying more on robotics and robots in the future for performing a lot of the services that humans are performing right now. And we're seeing this in Japan, which has a society that's about 15 to 20 years ahead of us when it comes to the rate of population decline. And so Japan can give us a glimpse into the future, and they're already relying heavily on robotics, especially in nursing care settings, because they simply do not have the workforce to support their aging society. And they also aren't very fond of immigration. And so they're relying on machines to make up for the lack of labor force.
Let me just ask you that, because we're going to get to some positive economic uh, strategies in other countries that we might look at here. But since we just raised AI for a minute, I know that some people said, well, the demographics isn't really that important because we're going to be so much more productive because of AI. You seem to have some skepticism about that. I do.
Mhm.
What do you think? I mean, are we just going to have so much more productivity that we don't need to worry about our declining demographics?
I don't think hope is a good strategy. And at this point, all of the folks saying, AI will save us, it's simply based on hope. We have no indications that that's going to be the case. Previous technological transformations, have been beneficial, but they didn't replace workers and labor in the way that some people seem to think AI will do all of a sudden. So um, there's 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 no compelling reason to break from major trends that we've observed. But the bigger problem perhaps is that our major entitlement programs, Medicare and Social Security, which are the primary drivers of the growth in the debt. And when I say primary, if you look at the long-term unfunded obligations of the United States government, which are presented in an annual report by the Treasury, called the Financial Report of the United States government, you find that Medicare and Social Security are solely responsible for more than 100% of our long-term unfunded obligations. And 2/3 of that is Medicare, and 1/3 of that unfunded obligation is from Social Security, assuming we keep spending at the current projections on these programs. And here's the kicker. Based on a change in the 1970s, we can no longer outgrow Social Security's unfunded obligations by having more growth or having higher inflation, because we have indexed current benefits to grow with inflation. So inflation won't help you there. And then we've indexed initial benefits to changes in wage growth. So even if we have a huge productivity boom, that will translate into higher wages, which will translate, based on the formula that Congress adopted in the 70s, into higher Social Security benefits. And we've actually modeled this out. So you can neither outgrow nor inflate away the unfunded obligations in Social Security. And then with Medicare, you have the challenge that as your society is aging, and because there's no budget, no limit on spending in Medicare, people are demanding more and more services. They need more care later in life. That care is becoming more expensive. And the trends here are that Medicare grows roughly 1 percentage point faster than the economy. And if you have inflation, medical inflation tends to outpace general inflation in the economy. And healthcare is a very labor-intensive sector. And a lot of that you will not be able to replace with AI. And there's also a lot of bureaucratic requirements that are going to limit the potential productivity enhancements that even highly effective, unimaginably productive AI will be able to exert on that sector. So just to wrap it up, the major drivers of our debt, you can neither inflate away their obligations nor outgrow them because of the way that they are designed. Therefore, this is not a silver bullet. AI is not a silver bullet to dig us out of the fiscal mess. We're going to have to do that ourselves with sensible reforms. And there are examples of, especially European countries and also New Zealand, that have accomplished that